What is, and can you define FMCG?
Yes. So FMCG is the new term that we used to call CPG, but now we're calling it FMCG, which stands for fast moving consumer goods. So within CPG, you're buying it more often than just a consumer packaged goods, which is what CPG is. So that's where we fall into as Ben and Jerry's. And even further into that, we're in the luxury ice cream brand. So premium ice cream is where we sit in our category.
Let's talk about quick commerce. Can you talk about that and how it fits into like an overall strategy and brands?
Yeah, so quick commerce has been one of the fastest growing channels for us. I'll define it a little bit first because it's not a sort of channel that every brand should be playing in or needs to know about, right? But what that means for us and the way we define it is delivery within 30 minutes. That's quick commerce. So there's a few different ways that that can come to life, again, depending on if you're in the US or you're in Europe or you're in Australia, that is a little bit different and like what partner you would use for that. So there are partners that are pure players in that space where they buy and own their own inventory and are processing your order. So like GoPuff in the US is an example of that type of retailer for us. And then they're delivering the products themselves. And then you have aggregators in the space, which is like an Uber Eats or a DoorDash, for instance, who are picking up from another location and delivering your like groceries. You think of it kind of like a convenience store model or a bodega, but for delivery is kind of how you think about that channel.
So, I mean, we're talking a little bit about sort of the platforms, I guess, for sale and commerce. What other kind of platforms should fast-moving consumer brands, goods leverage for sale or digital marketing, advertising, communication, like all of that?
Yeah, so I would say that it totally depends on your brand and where you are in sort of your brand development. So I would say, you probably want to focus on sort of those tried and true building distribution type customers first. One of the advantages that Ben & Jerry's has in the US is we've been selling here for a long time. Our distribution's really strong. Our brand love and trust is really strong, right? So we have really high penetration already in the US. It's available at essentially every single grocery store, right? So that's kind of a foundational pillar for us that we can then use that to build our e-commerce business on top of. A disadvantage that we have is that we don't own our own D2C. So we don't have any sort of D2C, and that financially probably would not make much sense for us in the traditional model, right? Where we would be shipping a frozen product across the country, right? So that does not fit into our sustainability model or really would make any sort of sense for our financial model either. That being said, we have to rely on our network of retailers and partners to deliver our products, right? So that's where we get into this diverse set of different channels that we operate within digital commerce. So we've got grocery.com, which we talked about a little bit. So that's really thinking about our omni retailers like a Target, a Walmart, those kinds of things, Instacart, right? Where you're ordering groceries. It's more of a routine purchase. And then you're either getting them delivered or you're click and collect. Another channel was quick commerce, which we got into a little bit. So that's really thinking about you need something now in the moment. It's a need for now. And then we have another channel where we actually sell our ice cream through a delivery partner like an Uber Eats. So that would be no matter where you are in the country, you can order our ice cream for delivery in isolation, right? So if you have a need, you're sitting on the couch and you check your freezer and it's empty, right? You can get ice cream delivered right then and there. And then finally, not so much in the US, but a much bigger part of our business in Europe comes from our ice cream with meal pillar. So this really means our partnerships with food chains where you can order a pizza and then you can add Ben & Jerry's to your order through that same customer. So those are the major places that we are playing right now in our digital commerce business. You think about the development of your brand, and that really should indicate where you should be playing, right? I would say, again, fundamentally building distribution in those main retailers, which we know are not going anywhere, before you start getting into quick commerce, which is potentially fast growth, but also very volatile. Like we've seen a lot of consolidation in those types of partners. And so you have to be sort of prepared for them to be online today and be gone tomorrow and be able to withstand the impacts of that for your business. So diversifying has really paid off for Ben & Jerry's in that aspect.
I love that you said when there's a need. Like, I love that because I'm thinking of myself on Saturday night sobbing watching a sad movie, and I'm like, I want ice cream.
Yeah. That is the moment that Ben and Jerry's, our goal is to really own that couch moment, right? Hopefully it's more in the like joy building part of it. But you know what? Ice cream's there for you anytime. So
That's what I'm saying.
yeah, exactly. And so that's what we're trying to do. And that's another thing digital commerce has unlocked for us is it has opened up the door to serving more and incremental consumer occasions for ordering and having ice cream around.
How would you suggest tailoring your strategy based on different categories?
Not every category makes sense to sell in like a quick commerce. Like, for instance, it's probably unlikely that you need an 8-pack of body wash delivered in 30 minutes, right? So if you are going to be selling body wash or some sort of personal care item, think of it again as that convenience store. What sort of, we do a lot of portfolio optimization and channel fit by our retailers and the occasion that they're servicing, right? So you think about they might sell, one roll of paper towels, for instance, at a time, which would just serve an immediate need that you would need instead of like a bulk order, which you might end up getting on an Amazon, right? So prioritizing your portfolio and making sure that it makes sense for not only the retailer you're selling through, but then also the consumer and the moment that you're actually servicing for that consumer.
Mm-hmm.